Welcome back to the Bootroom Podcast. Today is again a very special day, as it always is, but Mr. Harry Hennings is alongside me once more.
Absolutely. Really looking forward to this one.
And we've got an inspiration in the media industry. Alex Irons, welcome aboard.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely no worries. How was your journey?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah?
It's nice and easy.
Good.
Got on a train and it teleported me here.
Well, your content revolves around trains quite a bit, as you will speak about later.
Make it sound like I'm a big train nerd, but I can tell you that I'm not.
Train enthusiast.
Well, I mean, sometimes though, planes and trains are a bit they do inspire me sometimes, but it's actually a really odd thing to say.
Just missing the automobiles.
And the flying cars. So could you start to us then? We usually speak to footballers and managers, and we always say the same thing. So you now working in the industry, what got you going?
Oh, good. Is it in radio in particular? Or
your interest.
So I grew up wanting to be a presenter. I used to listen to radio at the age of 10 with an old Nokia phone with like a call center headset. So I only heard it in one ear, and it was a phone that was like a black and white screen, and it lit up on the edges. And I like sit on the dinner table, or I'd go to bed and have it on and just like listen to the radio for like hours on end. And I'd wake up at like 8 a.m. to go to school and just not want to go. I was like, because I was up listening to the radio until like 2, 3 in the morning. It explains why I have a terrible sleep habit now and all my hair's falling out. But that's kind of where it started from. And I always had from there I was like, I'd love to be on the radio. I used to listen to a lot of Capital in the early 2000s, which then moved to, and then a guy called Steve Penk, who used to do like a late night show, like a prank show. He'd like call up Disney World and Orlando, leave them on hold for 3 hours and all that. And they just like, let's see if they stay there. And they were there the entire time. And I would just like, as a 10-year-old, you're like, this is amazing. I'm hooked. To then move on to Virgin, with a guy called Jeff Lloyd, who's now worked back at Virgin, we're in the same building that I'm working in. So it's quite nice seeing a childhood hero just in the building while I'm working in there. And I got into heavy rock music, metal music, and then when
Any Michael Jackson?
I don't mind a bit of MJ.
Oh, we love MJ.
I don't mind a bit of MJ. I'm into all sorts of different music.
Yep.
As a teenager, it was like I only like heavy metal and rock and Block Party, and that's it. And then as I got older, got into my late teens, found out about other radio courses, started at a station called Westside, who used to be based in Southall. I think they're in Hanwell these days, so not too far from here. Did a course with them for 6 weeks, and then started doing a show locally, a station called, what was called Harrow Community Radio, now called Radio Harrow, based in Norfolk Park Hospital. And went from there and did like a show which plugged a lot of local bands, all sorts of different genres. We had Westminster University wasn't too far away, and they had a lot of bands that come through there. So a lot of the uni bands would come through. I'd play them on the show. They'd come in, do an interview and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of just grew from there. So I started in music, and now I've transgressed into sport, which has been a slow but interesting journey.
And was that what you had planned to transfer? No, okay.
No,
so
it just happened.
So it was always planned to stay around music and stay in the radio?
There's always, I always wanted to be on like a station like Kerrang or Planet Rock or Radio X or Absolute. There was like that kind of main bracket of those 4 stations. And, you send demos off and you get feedback and they go, okay, yeah, this is cool, this is where you can improve. But nothing ever really like led to a job. And that's not to say, if you don't hear back from them or you don't get the feedback that you want, don't do it. Like, keep sending them demos, and eventually you'll get that yes that you're asking for. I'm still hoping for mine. It's like a letter from Hogwarts. But it just kind of, I went to university a little bit older than most people. I went to the uni at the age of 25. And it was a local university to me. I ended up going to the university that those bands that were from the local area, those are the I can't get talk at the moment. Those would be the band. Let me start again. Sorry. I ended up going to the university, which was the same uni that I got those bands from on my show, many 5 years before. So it was a nice little like circle moment, and I remember talking to the head of the course, who had known that I'd been doing local radio for a while, and just went, why is it taking you so long to come onto the course and do this? And I just went, I don't know, I just didn't really think that uni was for me. And then I ended up being a part of the course and being on it for 3 or so years. And then during that time, started working at the job I'm working at now, which is at talkSPORT.
That's interesting because you're off to uni A lot of people are.
Soon, yeah.
And you said that the course wasn't right for you, but now a lot of people say, I don't have the money to be able to go to university.
I didn't have the money either.
Okay.
I worked so many jobs while at university, and lucky enough, I was living at home because it wasn't too far away. In my second year, I got bored of living at home and decided to go and live in dorms for a year. And that was a lot more expensive than I thought it would be. So I went back home again. I'm lucky I had that option to do that, though.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will go to other parts of the country that they're not from, and they don't have that option to do that without quitting completely.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate that I'm in that position. I was lucky enough to be in that position where I could move away from home, but still be within like half an hour from where I grew up. So, but yeah, anyone looking to go to university, I know we're skipping to that point already. If you don't have the backing of mum and dad or a family member, you will need to get like a job or two just to get you through, as well as the student grant as well.
Well, exactly, yeah.
Worrying.
Well, it is worrying because it seems to be going up every year.
Yeah.
And it's going to get to the point where they might have to enrol as many students as they want to because people physically can't afford to do it. And even if you get the maximum help, then you then got to pay groceries, you've got to pay to wash your clothes, £4 a cycle at universities. Everything adds up so much. And it's a shame because school's free, isn't it? School's free education. Yeah. Then you go to uni to actually want to be there and you have to pay thousands and thousands of pounds.
Yeah, I think it's unfair on the people. So like you said, bank of mum and dad, right? Most people, I mean, literally most people don't even have that, at all. Like, not even anywhere near, like, even a couple £100 a week. For most families, it's impossible. So for you, then you worked these two jobs, and maybe obviously you went back to, with your family. Did you enjoy university?
Yeah, mostly. There are obviously going to be parts that are going to be a struggle when you're in the middle of the third year and all your deadlines are rushing upon you and the weather's miserable, and you go, "Why am I doing this?"
Yeah.
But mostly I enjoyed university. I was at the University of Westminster.
Wow.
The campus was based in Harrow. So for me, I grew up around the corner. So for me, it made sense. But yeah, I mostly enjoyed my time there.
But being obviously based in Harrow, what was that like to actually students that go to London-based universities? Is it a different lifestyle? Because people that go there, obviously, some themselves quite privileged to be there. But if it's based in Harrow, it's sort of on the outskirts,
There must have been people that came from other countries maybe as well.
Yeah, met a lot of people that came from all over the place. A lot of Chinese students at the time, a lot of people from France, from Europe in particular, people from countries in Africa. Met quite a lot of students from like Nigeria, Kenya, Americans and Canadians, all sorts of loads of people came in and they go, "Cool, I've travelled how many thousands of miles to be here, and I'm in Harrow." And I'm like, well, yeah.
Only you can make that joke because you live there.
Because I live there, yeah. I find it quite funny when meeting these people, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm from X, Y, and Z place. Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I was born in the hospital next door." Literally, the university is next to the hospital, and I was born 5 minutes walk from the university. So I was just like that local guy that never left the area, and it still feels like that to this day.
It's funny though, because you joined uni later, as you mentioned, so you'd have grown up at 18, 19 thinking, no, uni's not for me.
Life sorted.
My life was
perhaps,
not quite. My life was completely different at that point. I was studying sports science at college.
At college, yeah.
Did that for 3 years. Trained to be a personal trainer, and realised I didn't have the physique to be a personal trainer because I haven't changed much in 16 years. That's a worrying thought. So took a bit of a year out and went to college again and studied at Lambeth College for 2 years doing media and then radio in my second year there. So I've been studying radio for a while now.
I mean, it gets to a point though where you must get a bit bored of it at times.
Nah, never.
Never.
You don't get bored of
I feel
radio.
like if you have the passion that Alex has, I feel like you would. No, I do mean it though, because obviously for us, we've been here and we've experienced the radio and the podcast room, and we've enjoyed it. But for you, that is your life, and clearly you've made a big impression to the world by going onto these different platforms and sites.
I've made a big impression on the world. That's
you made an impression in here, I'd say, to us.
I'll take that. Yeah. This room's, got to start somewhere. But it's just something I've always been fascinated with, and TV to an extent, but more so radio, because it's got that intimacy about it with radio. You could be presenting a show to 1 million people, but for as far as you know, you're talking to one person, and that's all that matters. Is having that connection with just one person, like you're talking to a friend. That's how I've always been trained as a presenter to be on the radio. You're just having a chat with a friend. And that's what makes radio so warm and comforting compared to TV and to, streaming and YouTube or whatever. Like, it doesn't have that kind of personal feel, whereas radio will always have that.
No, I agree. And there was one thing that I did. I don't know when I did it. And on your phone, I think it's called like World Radio Map. Have you ever heard of it?
I've heard of. There's one.
Yeah.
Radio Garden.
Yeah,
I have.
That's great. Yeah. So it's basically
I've never heard of this.
So Radio Garden's it's much better. I think you have to use a VPN to go on it. But
yeah, you do now.
Yeah.
It wasn't always the case.
Yeah, it's really good. It's like an interactive world, like Google Earth, and it's like got dots everywhere. There's a station in the world, and like you can just scroll in and like zoom up, and then it will play a station from Nigeria or like America.
Oh, so you can dip in and out of different countries.
Different countries and different cities and stuff.
Oh wow!
And I couldn't understand like Algerian, but I'd still just be like, wow. Like sort of going back to what you said, it's like someone's spending their time doing this, and they don't even know that there's someone in this country listening to them from thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
It's mad.
We have obviously we have a lot of radio stations here, and that's just England.
Yeah.
Imagine like Scotland and every other country as well. All the presenters, all the backroom staff. I mean, they just shows how big radio actually is globally.
Yeah.
For sure. So you got through all these roles, and you were head of specialist in music at one point.
At university, I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's that like?
Someone's been on my LinkedIn profile.
Oh no, we just know loads about you. So I was intrigued by this. And obviously, we can't speak about everything here, but like to be a specialist in music on a radio station, did you pick the songs out? Was it all up to you?
Kinda. So I was so this was at university. So I think they still have their own radio station. They won the SRA Gold while I was there for best station, and then as far as I'm aware, it just kind of vanished.
Because you weren't there?
Because I wasn't there, yeah, exactly. No, COVID happened and people ended up drifting and the station kind of fell away. I think they're back now. So head of specialist we had daytime slots. So we had like a booth downstairs in like the main space, which was like a really old radio desk, which I think is about as old as I am. I think it was from 1993. And I'm slightly older. The greys kind of give that away, I think. So you'd have like a really old desk with a booth, and you have one presenter like talking to, not just on air, but to the what's called the atrium. So kind of a waiting area where people can hang out. They've got food there and all that kind of stuff. And then you'd have like the booths upstairs. So the uni station had 2 studios. One which was like a learning space. And then, they're all learning spaces, but they had like 2 that were back to back with like a room in the middle. So that was used for like the talk radio sections and all that kind of stuff. But you could record a show in there. So anyone that wanted to do a show that wasn't daytime would go in the specialist slot. And I'd just put them in going, cool, where do you want to go? 8 p.m. Monday, fine, that's yours. Pre-record it as and when, and then put it in this, and then I'll put it in the system. And that was like, you've got people doing all sorts of different things, like music shows, talk shows, uni lifestyle shows, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was an interesting year, just kind of like getting stuff together. Seeing people that weren't radio students wanting to be involved in radio was always good. You've got like journalist students, music students, people that saw Smoke Radio banner and the station being played out in the atrium and going, oh, that looks cool, I'll give that a go. And for anyone that is going to university or thinking about it, get involved with student radio, because you never know where that'll end up.
I'll take that advice on board. Yeah.
Is there a radio?
I don't know. There may be.
Where have you applied for?
Bournemouth.
There'll be one.
You think?
Bournemouth, yeah.
Okay, good stuff, good news. But I was going to say, actually, obviously that's what it's all about, is getting different people involved. And obviously people that may be low in confidence, they have to build it up to get there. It's good to give them a chance. So was there any shows in particular that people had different ideas? So not just a talk show or a sports show. Was there anything really, really different that caught your eye? And you thought, I want to get that on immediately?
It was a while ago. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was like, there was like one student talk show. One was on sexual health, I think. As like a one-off.
Wow.
Apart from that, it was all mainly kind of like different music shows. I had a rock and metal show at the time.
Okay.
Other people wanted to do like different shows of their choice, like indie and R&B and all sort. They wanted to do like an urban time slot at one point on a Saturday. I think that was like from 6 until 12. So it's a lot of like grime, R&B, which went down pretty well with the students. So yeah, it was good fun.
You mentioned COVID there. What was it actually like? Because for us, how old were we in COVID? We weren't as young as Archie behind there.
10, 11, I think. 11? 11 years old, I think we were.
Maybe at the start.
6 years ago, 11.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
And it ended in about 2023. So during that time, from 2020 to 2023, how did radio work?
So how did radio work or how did uni work?
Radio.
So I started working at talkSPORT in 2019. And so when COVID happened, I was about to say when COVID dropped, like it's a new album. When COVID happened, I kind of like, I was in my final year of university. So everything went to online quite slowly because we didn't really know how to like get everything together and get everyone together. So it was a bit all discombobulated. So when I was working...
Good word.
Thank you. So when COVID happened, I kind of dropped most of university. I went, cool, I'll do what I can as and when. Work was my main priority. I was working overnights at the time with other shifts like dropped in here and there. During the daytime, you didn't see a presenter.
So you were in the You were in the London office?
Yeah, so I had to work from the office,
right?
Because as a technical producer, I can't lift up the studio and take it home with me at the end of the shift. Which, as fun as that would be, I don't think it would have fit in my house.
A lot of work as well, bad back.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot it in my backpack. It's not going to go down well. So I had to go in which I was going to say, I kind of missed how quiet the journeys were on the way in. I used to live not far from here. I grew up in Northolt. At that point, I was back at home, and I'd get the train into Marylebone, and I'd have no one else on that train doing an overnight shift. And then you get on the tube, no one on it. So you just wouldn't see anyone travelling through London, which was
very strange, isn't it?
It was very strange, but I was like, this is lovely. All of London.
Oh, it is
like
nice,
all the time.
When there's a train free, like a carriage, I'd start dancing because no one's there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, TikTok's a thing now. Like, let's just dance on the train. Make sure you wear a mask. So you didn't see anybody. Like, I remember like working on different shows and be like, cool, get their Zoom links up, get them up on air, and put them on an individual fader and do that. And there were a lot of quizzes from presenters doing those from home, which was it was quite a challenge at the time, being like, cool, we've got one quiz and now another presenter wants to do a quiz. It's just like, can we come up with something more creative than quizzes? But during the overnights, the presenter who's still on it now, Paul Ross, he would come in. So we would see him, and it'd be me, the producer. Sometimes the producer would do it from home, but mostly they'd be in the office, and then I'd be running the desk overnight. And we used to have like those. Do you remember those dividers on wheels, or those desk dividers? So there's like see-through dividers, like stop people from sitting next to each other technically.
But they're transparent, aren't they?
The transparent ones.
Yeah.
So we had those. We had one on wheels. The desk is probably it's just longer than this table, say. But I'm like on one end and the producer's on the other end, and there's like this divider in the middle, and I'm like, cool, I feel like some kind of like exhibit in a petting zoo. Like, this is just, you're like closed off from everybody else, and it was very strange. It was a strange time to be working radio, working in live sport in particular, when Premier League had come back.
Well, when it wasn't there, when they had that big break, were you working then?
Yeah, just quizzes. A lot of quizzes, a lot of how are we going to get through the next 6
How many days till we're
You
back?
have to adapt. So, it must have been a lot of adaptation.
It was very much like what's happening in the world and how sport affected. We didn't cover the Belarusian games or the South Korean ones when they came back, because Belarus didn't stop over COVID. They kept going, and South Korea were like, oh yeah, we'll bring it back, no problem. And they were the first league to come back, I think.
So why didn't you mention them?
I just think we didn't have them on air. I don't think we had the rights to do those games.
Oh, I see, like commentary.
Yes. Yeah, so if we had the rights to do those games, we would have probably been like, oh, we've got FC Seoul versus Samsung Blue Wings or whatever, and made a big thing out of that. But we ended up having the Premier League again, but of course there were no fans. Yeah. So there was a bit of a dilemma as to how we were going to juggle having sound effects.
Yeah.
We trialed it without sound effects, and it just didn't really work. It just sounds like you're just talking in an empty room, and with just people shouting in the background. Having sound effects and not having it, it had a mixed reception. Some people wanted it without, some people wanted it with.
Yeah.
My role during COVID for live matches was to not only look after output, but to also play the sound effects while the games were happening. So it sounded like there was an actual atmosphere at the game. essentially just like being a FIFA soundboard, like FIFA 19, 20 or whatever. That was hard, especially when we'll have screens that have the game on them, and they'll be on a delay. So you're reacting to the commentator before you've seen it. So you don't know what buttons to press until they say corner or goal or whatever.
Corner, yes!
So it's been delayed, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's that you don't know what's happened, so you're just guessing.
Yeah.
And you're like, right, did I guess that correctly? Did I guess that not so correctly? It was tough.
It's bizarre.
It was it was a really weird thing to do. And I'm happy that I don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I miss about that time, and doing those buttons, was the fact that I had a jeer button, so I could like have like a boo, and I could no longer boo Sam Matterface's awful puns.
I'm with you on that one.
I used to do
Oh,
that.
I'm with him. Yeah.
There was a period where he would say something and I just go jeer and press the button and go boo or whatever, and then that got a bit of a reaction from people in the control room, and I'm like, okay, I'll leave it for now until he does maybe another bad one 20 minutes down the line. So that was me finding my own fun in that bleak time. But that was tricky.
COVID was weird.
Yeah,
It's mad. It's weird when we think back to it now. It was a pandemic, and we used to queue around the supermarket to do our shopping.
Well, we wouldn't have gone.
No, it was.
What was COVID like for you?
For us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I suppose the online schooling was quite similar for all of us, wasn't it? But not seeing family.
How was
for-
that like?
Well,
That's the different world.
It's
for
very
me.
weird. I mean, for us, it would be obviously you would usually be in 9 till 3,
Yes.
but they would set their work, and obviously people would do 9 till 12, or just try and get it all done in one go. But I remember particularly one summer, it was just great weather from about March onwards.
How long was this?
It was at 2020. Like as
It
soon
was
as everything
2020.
closed down, the weather was like, I'm going to be glorious.
The weather
and
was
you can't enjoy
fantastic.
it. Yeah.
So I remember it would be a lot of barbecues and paddling pool or slip and slide in the garden. It would be entertainment in the garden, and you could go on your hourly walk, couldn't you?
Oh my! With me,
I've got to keep an eye on it. I'm out for 1 second.
But that's what
over.
it was. That's what
it
They're
was.
Come after me.
Yeah.
But in my school, because I was at 2 schools at that time, I went from one to another. The first school, you had to have, you weren't allowed your camera on for some reason.
Camera.
Yeah, like on Zoom.
Really?
Yeah.
You weren't allowed it on?
No. Yeah.
Oh,
and then the
wow.
next school I went to, it was like, you have to have it on, which makes more sense.
For us, it was you have to.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that makes so much sense.
Of course it does, because it shows you there, doesn't it? The only reason I can think against it may be safeguarding, but I don't see how.
I mean,
being,
we did.
It's only chest up, isn't it?
Yeah,
So-
we did. Cheers for the description, but we did. We did PE lessons online. So it was like every Monday. The PE coach would be like, "All right, fellas, right, let's go," and it'd be like,
Was he also wearing shorts? 'Cause they all do that. They always will do that.
He was at school at that time though.
Okay.
So you could see our sports when like the older sister would be like, "Is it all working fine?" Like one of those.
Yeah.
But it was a bizarre time.
Okay.
It's so weird.
How does a PE lesson work?
Oh,
over Zoom.
It worked. Oh, yeah, it did
yeah,
work.
okay.
It would be
I
like
just sat there doing a plank or like.
exactly
What, for
that.
a whole hour.
No, for like 2 minutes.
Okay.
And then he's like, "All right, fellas, 2 minutes left. 1 minute left." Yeah, like,
it'd be that. Or we actually, very, very quickly, they realised that wasn't working. And people, I mean, you can have 30 people doing planks. And so what they did after that, in the 3rd and 4th week onwards, was they would set us on Strava or on another app, Couch to 5K.
Yes,
And that was
okay.
something that was very big then. And then it was like Couch to 10K. So it would really just be getting out, having a run, being active.
Yes.
And you'd have to like document it. But that's about all it was, to be fair.
And all you'd probably do is like send a screenshot to say you'd done it.
Screenshot
Yeah.
the Strava heat map and then upload it.
Oh,
and
okay.
that would be it. So weird times, but it's almost, do you know what, in a very weird way, I think it's almost amazing that we experienced it, because it teaches us not to take what we have for granted because of the sheer awful things that we went through during those times.
Yeah, of course.
But people also, what was it called, where you got paid 80% of your wage?
Furlough. Yeah.
So like people, for the first time in their life, the last time in their life, they'll be able to do that, not working, getting paid for the most. I mean, I know hundreds of thousands of people have probably lost their jobs. But no, it was a very odd time. And they actually say now in education, it would have harmed our education. I don't know.
So they say, yeah.
But
Yeah.
how many lockdowns did we have?
Two.
Was it 3?
I think it was
Well, we
2
couldn't
and
be at
then it
school.
was a third one.
Yeah. We had the first lockdown, which was like, oh yeah, it'll be 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then it'll be fine over the summer. And summer things were kind of okay in that 2020. And then as soon as the weather got colder, they did the whole
it
weird...
skyrocketed, didn't it?
The rate skyrocketed, and then they did the whole weird tier system, like towards the end
That
of
rings a bell. What's
2020.
the tier system?
So they were like, if your COVID rate is higher in one area, you're locked down, but if it's lower in another, you can kind of do stuff.
Oh yeah.
The
Which
tiers.
made
Oh my
absolutely
word.
no sense.
Yeah.
And then you had the whole thing with Boris Johnson going, it'd be inhumane to lock people up for Christmas. Everyone can see their families, and then a week beforehand, just went, none of you can see your families.
Yeah, I remember.
And then we were on lockdown for like,
and it was late notice, wasn't it?
Yeah, the whole of like 2021, that like 6 months of the year.
Yeah,
nothing was open.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, it seems like such a distant memory.
It does, but also very vivid at the same time.
Yeah,
I
really
can
vivid.
still see myself waking up in lockdown and thinking.
I'll tell you
wow.
what, that was we had geography lesson. I think it was like 9. It would have been 9 in the morning on a Wednesday. I'd wake up at like 8:50, and I'll be like 5 minutes late every time. But because in our school it was really weird. I know we're here to talk about you. So,
No, go for it.
Everyone was on time. No one ever missed a lesson. It was one of those schools.
Good.
But yeah, so could you talk to us then about being at talkSPORT and having to press all these buttons? Do you ever have to clean the buttons in the desk down?
I probably should do it at some point. I did it during COVID. Everything was wiped down, yeah. And then since that's all relaxed, there is an accumulation of dust and hair. Probably most of it mine. Every time I look down on the desk, I'm like, oh, there's more hair. Yeah, everything does get cleaned, wiped down at the end of the shift.
I didn't mean in COVID. That was just like a really...
Just in general. Like
in general.
Yeah, everything's like, there is a little bit of dust here and there, but stuff gets cleaned. It is used a lot, so people go through it, they'll wipe stuff down. Cleaners do come in and clean the studio. Not to ruin secrets of the show, but this last half an hour of Sports Bar is generally pre-recorded.
Whoa, breaking news. So
the cleaner will come in, clean the studio, and we'll come in and move stuff out that Cundy and O'Hara or whoever has left in the studio beforehand. Some presenters are meant to do that, and their production team are meant to do that. Sometimes they don't, and then angry emails get sent saying, "Why is the studio a tip?" But mostly stuff gets like cleaned down after every show.
Have you ever had any angry emails directed at you?
Kinda.
Okay.
This was during COVID when I was working with a presenter who was working with another one from home, and for about 18 months we had issues with their mic levels, despite telling them that their mics need to be turned down and I'll turn them up on our end, and they just wouldn't pay any attention. To the point where they sent an email out saying, essentially like dragging me under the bus, talking about microphone levels and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I've been telling you this for half a year and a half even. Like, why am I getting told off for this?
Yeah.
Nothing came of it. And eventually everyone came back into the office. So it didn't matter. But it was just a bit frustrating to kind of be like, I've been telling you something for such a long time. Yeah. And now this happened.
They come back to bite you.
Yeah.
We all know about producers, but what is the difference between that and a technical producer?
Technical producer can help produce the show. Okay. It's kind of like you've got the AP, you've got an assistant producer who does a lot of audio and setting up the show, and the producer will do a lot of the looking after the presenters and all that kind of stuff on air. As a technical producer, you're looking after the studio. So you're other places will call it studio manager. talkSPORT calls it technical producer. So you're looking after output, you're looking after what's happening in the studio, in the gallery, playing of audio, making sure stuff goes live when you're supposed to, bringing the mics on, and just making sure that the whole show runs smoothly. And that can be harder than it sounds, depending on the show. If there are other like moving parts, it can be difficult to get those right in some, if you're not used to a show, for example. There's also just making sure like credits get fired. So like if you've got an SMP stab, say for like a betting company or a car or whatever, like those gets played because then we get paid at the end of the month. So it's making sure that you look after all the moving parts and you're looking after the studio and you're making sure that output sounds good and levels are good, and you're kind of like an extra producer in that sense, but you're also doing a little bit more and you work across other shows. So at least with talkSPORT, you'll work across 2 shows mostly, whereas producers will work on 1. So as a technical producer, say for me, I'll work kickoff, which is 7 till 10, and then I'll stay on and do Sports Bar, which is 10 till 1 a.m. So you tend to work in shift patterns, whereas a producer and an AP, you work on 1 show in particular. And
the producer, so for O'Hara, Cundy, Goldstein, they don't make their notes, or?
Not mostly. They'll have a producer and an AP put notes together. Sometimes some presenters will do their own notes. Those 3 don't. as far as I'm aware.
Right. Wow. Sounds like a great job.
It does sound like a good job. Yeah, I mean, we obviously do our own notes because we like to have it all detailed. And
well, we don't have anyone to do it for us.
No, well, exactly that. So I imagine, obviously, if, say, one day we get to their position and we've gone from doing our own notes in our little Google document.
And then you've got someone to do it for you.
Someone to do it for you.
That's their job.
I would still say
exactly.
keep doing it because it keeps you fresh and it keeps you in the know as well. In case those notes that you've been sent have missed something.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can add to that.
But if they were wrong, you'd be none the wiser because you wouldn't know in the first place, would you?
Exactly.
Well, we had a guest come in a few weeks ago, Dennis, my former head teacher, and he said, well, yeah, it was a belt of a podcast.
It was.
Yeah. And he said to me, he goes, well, all these people on, he didn't mention specifically talkSPORT, but these people on radio when they go, oh, that goal last week was great, they didn't even watch the game. So on the sports bar or other places on radio, they say, oh, we saw Tottenham's goal, we also saw Liverpool's goal. So obviously, as you said, you've got screens there. So sometimes they just have to make their way through and sort of they didn't actually watch the game or...
Presenters are never supposed to say they've never watched the game. Some of them do and go, oh yeah, I didn't see that one. Rule number 1, when you're on air on a sports station, never admit to never watching a game.
You got to fluff your way through.
Yeah, you've got to say, maybe you saw the highlights. You didn't see it live, but you saw the highlights. That's the line of what you can say. You can admit that, but you can't say, oh, I never saw it, and then talk about it anyway, because you don't know what you're talking about.
That's true.
Yeah.
So most people we have, before sports bar in particular, they'll be watching more than one game at the same time.
Yeah.
So they'll have, there's a TV in the green room where Jamie and Jason will sit, and then they'll bring in another TV, like the old CRTVs like you had at school, which may be me showing my age, actually. They wheel it in on a tray or on a trolley.
On the trolleys, I've seen them, yeah.
I've seen them. We had that at school.
Pictures of them,
Bloody hell. So, they'll have a TV or not quite a CRT, but they'll have another TV brought in and they'll have 2 games on at once and just watch over everything. So they'll be in the know as to what's been happening on the main games, and those will be the talking points.
Right.
For that show that evening.
It does make you think, though, doesn't it? After you made that point of how many things have they actually missed that we've listened to live on radio, thinking, oh yeah, they know what they're talking, what they're talking about, but actually maybe they haven't.
Yeah, but I suppose if you're very political and you know how to dive your way through questions, then
I haven't got to worry, have you?
No, well, if you mentioned Tottenham's goal on the weekend, for example, you say, well, actually, no, I think Tottenham this season, and just go on speak about that.
Well, exactly, yeah. If you're clever enough, you can get through.
One of the hard things about maybe making a station, obviously you have all these slots of shows, is what is the difference between it's talkSPORT, but it's mainly football.
Yeah.
How do you dive through all these different things? So the sports bar is very energetic. You get guests on, I suppose, callers as well. How do you deal with the callers? Because the callers could be all sorts of people. They could be boring, they could be funny, they could swear.
Yeah, so there'll be someone who works behind. So in the gallery, you've got the front desk where I'm sat and the producer sat, and then behind us we have a phone operator and a multicam operator who does all the camera stuff.
Yeah.
So the phone operator will screen calls, take the call, ask them what they want to talk about. If there's no other guests, no other callers waiting, they'll get through on air. If not, then they'll say, cool, we've got a lot of calls at the moment, I'll give you a call back and we'll get you on later. Providing they think they're good enough or not. And then if someone, funny guests, they're always good fun. Anyone that swears or says anything that they shouldn't do. So the show is in a delay of about 14 seconds. So
It's not that much.
We split into 7 seconds each. We have a dump button. So if anyone says anything inappropriate, we dump that. And then if they keep talking, we bring them down. But we can, we've got 2 dumps in there that we can use if we need to. And if we double dump, then we go, right, bring them down. No phone, no callers on until that's at least 7 seconds are built up again. Yeah. And then we can go again from there. That has happened. It does happen. And that's live radio for you. And anything can happen.
When I've been listening to the sports, that's a belter of a show. From what I can understand, now that you're going to tell me otherwise, I'm sure, it sounded like Cundy it seemed to me like Cundy was turning down someone's mic, but I'm presuming that would have been...
No, that would have been either me or whoever was working.
So what's the connection like between if Cundy wants to play a sound or do something? Can he message you or...
So there is a talkback on that desk. It used to be on the old desk that they both had talkback. So both presenters in the Press 1, Press 2 seats would be able to talk through into the gallery and say, can I get a glass of water? Can I play this clip or whatever? On the new studio, it only has it for the main presenter. So that they can talk through and ask. They can talk into the gallery, but the other presenter can't. So it would have to be either Cundy asks Jamie, or Jamie will just say, can I go and get a glass of water? Yeah. Or can we play this clip? Can you play the crying baby? Or the violin? or
the
whatever?
ducks.
Or the duck. Or the ducks come, they're all naturally part of the show anyway at the beginning. So can you play, I don't know, the poo sound that they've now got going or whatever. So, there's always, they can talk to us, and then that doesn't go out live. That would be, so that mic gets cut off from going out live and only goes into the gallery.
Right. It's a lot of technical stuff to understand.
Yes.
Yeah, that's your job, isn't it?
It really is.
When you first joined there was a really funny call called Schmelz Herring.
That was before my time on the sports bar, but yeah, Schmelz is an icon on the sports bar.
What was there anything that came out of that call, or?
How do you mean?
So did you find out who it was? Did he call again?
I think it's just I can't remember if he did. I think he must have done at some point, but I don't remember. It would have been another guy who was the previous sports bar tech guy called Josh, who would have been on the desk for that one. I think he might have called in again, but it just wasn't as funny the second time around. Whereas, I think it was just like a 15-year-old kid. Yeah. And I say that knowing that one of your production team is 14, who just called in and was just like, have you got permission from your parents? He's like, oh yeah, I'll go and get them. And he pretended to be his dad.
Oh, that's so fun. And then his mum.
Yeah. And his mum, yeah.
Have you seen that clip?
It's
a very old one, but it's funny.
I'll have to watch later then.
When that sort of stuff happens, I suppose you're loving your life. Does it feel like a job at that point?
There are moments when you go, what have we stumbled into? What is this? Especially with Midnight Train, which is what that clip would have been from. Goldstein in particular is brilliant on stuff like Midnight Train. That's where he comes into his element. With Jamie, it's taken him a bit of time, but he still laps it up.
Yeah. What's the difference between them?
Goldstein is very much more kind of, he will just play around. He's not particularly I'll say not particularly serious. I think that's not fair on Goldstein. He is quite clearly more kind of, he'll try and make you laugh. Okay. Whereas O'Hara, coming from being a footballer, it's a different way in for him. So it's still stuff that he's learning. On the sports bar in particular, he's very I'm going to wind up Cundy. And they just wind each other up, and it's what makes the show now, as we've seen as of the last couple of weeks.
Very common theme with those.
Yeah, O'Hara walking out, Jason with the mask, the Ange Postecoglou
the Ange mask, yeah. And am I right in saying that he did it more than once as well?
Yeah, they've got more than one mask. They've got Ange, they've got Slot, Arteta. There might be another one in. I don't think they've got any of the other managers yet, but it's probably going to happen at some point.
Sooner rather than later. I reckon.
There'll be a Pep one. I think there might be a Pep one already. I know they had it. They had those masks specifically ordered online. Really? I think they came from Chile or Peru or somewhere random in South America.
Were they expensive or? I
don't know. I'd have to ask the producer. Do you want one? It's from his money.
They
probably could sell them and start making talkSPORT branded manager masks.
There you go. That's an idea.
I think we should do that.
You think?
Is that you saying I also want to cut?
No, definitely not.
My idea, give me 5%.
I have to patent it first. When we get guests on here, there's a process that we follow. I know it's not exactly down your route, but when there's a guest that you want to get on, I mean, the contact book must be quite large.
Yeah, so they'll have, most of the time it'd be someone that the boys know already. Right. So recently, this was in the summer, we had Matt Lucas on, who's also a big fan of the show anyway, and him and Cundy now do a podcast together. We had Omar Jalili, a comedian, come on. That might have been this year, actually. It might have been earlier this year or last year. He came on to do an hour and a bit with us. Adam Richman from Man vs. Food, he came on to do, I think it was with us for 2 hours. He had a new show called, I think it's called Adam Eats Football or something along those lines. So people will come in and if there's no live football on at the time, so we've got the international break coming up, so chances are they'll start looking for guests around that time and start booking people in over that period where it's not as busy. And then same for the summer in between the Premier League and the World Cup. Although talkSPORT will be building up to that, they'll probably find a guest who wants to come in, talk about their, what they've got coming up, their love of football, this kind of stuff. So again, it's more for the producers will set all that up, but they'll go, cool, and I've suggested people in the past and just been like, they normally go, when I used to book interviews when I used to do my rock stuff, it would be like, either the PR company will contact you because you're already on their list and go, I've got so-and-so in London next week. Do you want to talk to them? Or if you know that they're a band that you want to talk to playing at a music venue, they'll go, do you have any press for that night before the gig? And I'll come down. And normally there would be you get on the guest list and you go and see that band afterwards. Didn't always happen, but 99% of the time it did, which led to me having some fun nights watching bands and not being able to hear anything anymore. But yeah, regardless of genre, it will be who you know, and if you don't know them, go through their PR company. And most of the time, if they've got time to fit you in, they'll get you in.
Yeah.
Have you got any? What's that?
Sounds good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you got any dream guests lined up for one day? Someone that you'd love to talk to?
Dream guests?
Yeah.
Oh. In regards to football or just anything in particular? I mean, I don't do a podcast anymore, so having Matt Lucas on Sports Well was fun. Yeah. I grew up watching Little Britain. I was your age when that came out. That makes me sound old. And at this point, so Matt Lucas is from where I'm living now. He's from from North London, and he, weirdly enough, his mum knew my grandmother, so I ended up just being afterwards just talking to him and be like, yeah, so my grandmother knew your mum, and just went from there. So that was an interesting conversation. And he still has ties with the area, so he was like, oh, if I ever see you again, I'll ask, or I'll get back to you. I haven't seen him, so I don't know. Oh. But dream guest, I once interviewed. Do you know of a band called Architects? They're like a metalcore band.
Not off the top of my head.
Fine. I've got long hair for a reason. It's fine. Didn't wear a metal t-shirt today. I should have done. I interviewed them. They're one of the. I got into them in my mid-20s. Loved them to bits. I got to interview them at Reading Festival when I used to cover that kind of music, and you used to go to Reading and Download and Bloodstock and all the big kind of metal festivals that had happened in the UK. I got to interview them after a lot of their interviews got cancelled. I think in the end it was like me, Radio 1 and Kerrang, which made no sense in my head. And got to chat to them for 15 minutes, loved every second of it, and then couldn't say any other word but thank you to the PR agent for about 10 minutes. That was like my dream band to have on. In regards to dream guest, in regards to football, maybe someone like Breda Hangeland, Clint Dempsey as a Fulham fan. Mm-hmm. Kind of that period where Fulham were doing well in the Premier League, and they're doing okay now, but in regards to the European run that Fulham had in 2010, that still holds. That's still like a pinnacle of a season for Fulham fans. And Clint Dempsey wasn't quite at the forefront of that, but he then came on to be one of Fulham's best players in the modern era after that point.
He played for us as well, Spurs.
Yeah,
didn't he? Was that before or after Fulham?
That was after.
Was that afterwards?
So we had Moussa Dembele and Clint Dempsey at the same time, and then you nab both of them off.
What a pairing! I mean, Dembele, one of the best midfielders to ever play.
Yeah, we only had him for a year and a half.
Imran Loser, compared to Dembele?
Yeah.
No way. Good player, Imran Loser. I do rate him, but Dembele was just.
Do you watch Watford a lot?
I don't. I should do because they're local to me now. But
they are. Head down.
Yeah, I went a year and a half. No, I went 2 years ago. Yeah. There you go. I should have bought a scarf for you boys. I'm sorry. I've got so many scarves and hats and from all sorts of different clubs I've been to.
We should all come in Fulham hats. Yeah.
I don't even. I know I have got a Fulham hat somewhere. I should have done, really, shouldn't I?
Yeah, we could decorate the whole place out. I'm really keen to ask you about commentary now. Obviously, as young lads, commentary is an option that we could do. You do quite a unique style of commentary.
Yeah, so I do audio descriptive commentary, which, for anyone that doesn't know, that means doing commentary for fans who are blind or visually impaired. So it's a lot more detailed than what you'd probably hear on TV or on radio, which doesn't make sense to me because radio, people listening are in the same position as someone who is blind.
Yeah.
Because they're not there. The only difference is that the fans are in the stadium. Radio, they're not in the building, so they don't know what's going on. People that are visually impaired may be able to see certain things. They may be able to see up to a certain point. They may be able to see colours and shapes, so you don't know what kind of level their visibility is. Some of them are, I think, one or two of them are completely blind. But it's telling people where the ball is at all times. It's telling people where the ball in position to where the ball is on the pitch. So you tell people where you're sat, which direction players are running or scoring towards. You give a description of the seats, players' hairs, their boots, what they're wearing. You want to give as much detail as possible when you can. So if anyone can see little bits here and there, they can go, okay, I know that's who that is. And it's very much kind of just bringing people that may not necessarily be able to enjoy football into being a part of the game. And it's been quite enjoyable. It's something I never thought I'd get into. And I just thought I'd give it a go. And nearly 4 years later, I'm still doing it.
Well, you said that one or two are completely blind. So do you know the people that you're commentating to?
Not really.
Okay.
We don't know like numbers or anything. We know that Fulham have a disability fan group, and they give us feedback that Alan March, who runs Alan March Sport is the name of the company, and they run not just these audio descriptive commentaries, not just at Fulham, but at loads of clubs across the country. I think they started at Stockport last weekend. They're at Mansfield, they're at Forest, Chelsea, Arsenal, Wrexham. I think they're at Wrexham as well. They're all over the country. So they may be a local club to anyone, to either you boys or anyone listening or watching. So they're worth kind of, even if they haven't got any opportunities just at this time being, just keeping an eye out, because there's always something going. Because we've just had two new people join us, as a couple of the original guys on the team left. So we've had two new guys join us who are pretty up for it. One's about my age, one's in his late 50s. So it's open to anyone that wants to get involved, and if you send a demo in and then go through the training day, and if they like you, they'll bring you in.
Really is inspiring, though.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, we thank you for what you're doing, because it's fantastic. It really is, because these people haven't got the chances we have to enjoy a game of football, but you're allowing them to be able to do that. So well done.
Can I just say, are they in the ground with headphones on?
Yeah, so we don't give them... So they bring in their own headphones, and then they'll ask for a receiver. Every club's different. So I know Arsenal have a dedicated team that'll go round and drop receivers off to anyone that has asked for them in their seat. So they will do that, whereas other clubs like Fulham, I think with Fulham they'll have to go to like a certain point or ask the steward, I'm visually impaired, I'm blind, can I get a receiver to listen to the game? And the steward will go and get them one, and then they just bring their own headphones and plug them in, and then they can hear everything as it happens.
Sounds really cool.
No, it really is.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a different experience. So if we were to try something like that, it would be a very different game. But let's speak about Fulham. So you're quite privileged in the sense you're a Fulham fan and you're commentating at your club.
Yeah, I don't have to pay for a ticket, which is nice.
Yeah,
that's fantastic, isn't it?
Considering how expensive it is these days to be a Premier League fan and a Fulham fan in particular.
It's ridiculous.
Like I said, I never thought that I'd get into commentary. I did it once before being involved in visual audio descriptive comms, and it was so disastrous that it put me off doing commentary ever again. So I did a game for what would have been Harrow Community Radio. I still remember this. It was a playoff semi-final in the Isthmian Premier League between Willstone and Concord Rangers.
Concord Rangers.
And the guy who had all the equipment turned up 20 minutes after kickoff. So we didn't get going until maybe with 10 minutes left of the first half.
No.
We had no program. We had no team sheet. We had no notes. So we just blagged it. The game went to extra time. By this point, we were already struggling because we didn't know. I'd never done commentary before. It was probably the worst bit of radio anyone's ever done in their entire life. Concord then won it in the dying moments. And because I was a bit, I was saying, Concord has scored, it's gone in, blah, blah, and trying to add a bit of colour. Wilson looked at that and listened to it and just went, yeah, you're not doing commentary for us for a season.
Wow.
So thanks to my awful commentary and being a bit too happy that Concord scored, being a fan of another local rival team, they were like, yeah, we're not having comms with you for at least a season.
That's mad.
And then to go from that and be like, okay, I'm not doing commentary anymore. To then 10 years later, I saw a tweet come up being like, Fulham are looking for commentators, or Alan March looking for commentators to do at Fulham. They're like, send in a demo. If you haven't got one, just make one up. I was like, okay. I made up. This was when Fulham had just come back into the Premier League for the umpteenth time in 2022. And I did a 1-minute demo of Fulham on the opening day of that season playing Liverpool, which ended as a 2-2.
Yeah.
At that point, I was just like, oh no, we're going to. Yeah.
That was
Mitrovic scored.
Mitrovic, cracker.
And I was like, I think my demo was Fulham are winning 9-0 and Mitrovic scores a 10th or something. Just to kind of like, I'll do something that's a bit funny. And then sent that in, had the training, they invited me in for that. And then 2 weeks later, they were like, yeah, we want to have you on. So I was like, oh, me just playing around has actually led to me getting a job. Yeah.
And does the company pay people or is it a voluntary?
No, it's a voluntary role.
Okay.
But then because it's a service that is for, it's such a good service to be a part of, people have been, not people that do the service, but people have been like, oh, if it's a Premier League club or whatever, they should be paying people to do it. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but it's not the Premier League. It's not the clubs that are hosting it. It's another outsourced company. And because it's a service and it's not a regular thing, it's not, I'm not doing it every day. I'm not doing it every weekend. I'm doing it one Saturday in maybe a month, depending on when home games fall. And also where we've got a team of 4 or 5, as does every other team. So it's got to rotate round.
Oh, okay.
So you could only be doing it like maybe once every once a month, once every 6 weeks at most. So it's not really worth being paid for when you're only doing it once every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And if you just want to get into, it's a good opportunity for people that just want to get into commentary.
Yeah.
It's more of an entry level thing rather than being, oh, you've been doing commentary for 10 years, come and do this. Some people will then look at that as a next step and to broaden their horizons, especially doing audio descriptive comms is different than doing radio commentary, even though it shouldn't be. So it's a good way to learn a different skill. But yeah, it's an unpaid thing. But I don't mind, like, being a Fulham fan. I get to watch my team. I get to do it from the wooden seats in the press box. I bring a cushion because of how uncomfortable those seats are.
Yeah.
I didn't like those seats when I was 8, and I don't find them comfortable now. But it's just like the love of it more than anything else. And then you build up those skills, and then could potentially lead to a job further down the line. I now do some commentary from home for a company called GB Vision, who commentate on games from all over the world. The other weekend, I commentated on an African Champions League quarter-final game between a team from Sudan and a team from Morocco. So you never know what will lead you to somewhere. There's always going to be, if you do something and go, do you know what, I'll try it, see what happens, you don't know where that will take you 3, 4, 5 years down the line. Like, every experience is a good one because it will teach you something, and you never know where you'll end up.
This season, Fulham have been a pretty interesting club. I mean, you said they're doing quite well. People have been questioning Marcus Silva, whether he'll stay, whether he'll go.
That's the same every summer.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a recurring theme, isn't it?
Yeah, but Marcus Silva's one of those managers who probably won't get a job better than Fulham, I wouldn't have thought. Or am I making that up?
No, I think you're right. I'd probably agree.
Well, it was up
I
for the
think it'd be
Spurs
tough.
job last summer.
Yeah, and I wish we went for him rather
that-
than Frank. I would rather have had him.
I've heard a lot from Spurs fans.
Yeah.
Although
Frank
I don't
was
think
disaster.
he would have made that much of a difference, personally.
No, I think he'd been quite similar to Frank, to be fair. I mean, the style's different, but I think people underestimated the step up coming to a top 6 club, even though I don't think I'd call us a top 6 club at the
You're
moment.
a top 17 club at the moment, that's what I'd call
Yeah.
Spurs. But
Or a bottom 5 club.
You're a bottom 5 club, yeah, there you go.
But I'm a really big fan of Kevin.
Kevin's been good fun to watch.
Yeah.
He got quite a lot of fanfare when he first joined, and then when his performances didn't quite match that fanfare, people they eased off a bit.
Yeah.
But he's slowly growing into the Premier League. I think he's still injured with a metatarsal injury, which he picked up against Sunderland. So it's in his foot. I think he's like
Carpal's
broken his
yeah.
little toe or something.
I'll grow up. Oh my goodness!
But
mate.
he's out for like a good couple of weeks still. So
Just take the toe up and play.
Take the toe.
all right, Wayne Rooney.
No, seriously. No, but you can run with that with a bad toe.
I'll give
If
it.
you can you?
I'll give it a go.
You can.
I'll give it a go.
Surely. Take some
I'm,
painkillers.
yeah, but I'm also not a professional athlete.
Even nor am I. But
Yeah.
I think I could give it a good go. I bet
maybe.
you it's this small the small toe as well, which does
It was
absolutely
his
nothing.
fifth metatarsal is what was. So it would be his. Yeah,
Small
so I think
toe?
it's a small toe. It
The
looked like it
smallest
was in a
toe.
fair bit of pain when he came off. So
Really?
yeah, I'm not one to
Maybe,
call him out
maybe we
on
listen, we don't
injuries.
judge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe let's move on
Okay,
from that. This
So
Sorry,
he's
Kevin.
been he's been a very good player to watch.
Yeah.
He always tries to throw in a bit of trickery, a bit of skill.
Yeah, we love
Yeah.
that.
He
Brazilian
doesn't
flair.
quite do what Rodrigo Muniz does, and that's always attempt a bicycle kick at least once during the game. Because you watch, I'm not kidding, you watch Rodrigo Muniz, and he'll always try it in the 18-yard box. The ball goes up in the air, and you'll see him like flipping over, trying to like bicycle kick it, and he always misses. And then one day he'll get it, but he's missed every single one so far this season when he's not been injured and has come on. So I mean, I like the ambition, but maybe when the simpler option is head it towards goal, when
Go
we've
for
been
that one.
lacking wins at the moment.
Yeah, go for that one.
It's a little bit frustrating at times, but again, I'm not going to blame him for trying.
You've lacked wins, but you got 2 against us, didn't you?
Yeah,
Did double
but
over
yeah.
us
Yeah, but
in the
that's
league.
nothing.
Outplayed us in both games.
Yeah, but everyone else has done that this season.
Apart from Liverpool. Yeah.
Apart from Liverpool, there you go.
Which, by the way, are unbelievable point.
Did
for us.
Liverpool?
Yeah.
Fantastic
What was the
point.
first result of the? So it was 1-1
Yes.
the other day, and then what was the?
Well, at our ground.
Yeah.
It was 2-1 to you.
Oh, we did win a game. Wow.
It's when Isak broke his leg.
Oh, of course it is. Oh yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
You can't play with that. You can't be in the ever broken.
That one you can't do, no.
Yeah.
But no, I'm
I see you run that one off.
I don't know. I mean, I'll give it a go.
All right, fine.
Yeah, but
And then make it even worse.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if you can make it worse if it's broken.
Yeah, very good point.
Kevin's a really interesting one for me, as I said. Signing someone from the Ukrainian league, signing someone who's young, Brazilian. A lot of players from Brazil, as we know, fast and skillful, which is what you need to be a winger.
Yes.
So there's not much more to it. I mean, I'm not saying that every Brazilian could play in the Premier League, but I think Kevin is going to end up in a club bigger than Fulham, with all due respect.
Yeah, well, there
Man
are a
United.
lot of clubs that are bigger than Fulham, to be fair.
Is Watford?
No, of course it isn't. Don't be silly. Watford are a great club with a massive history, and
Yeah.
of course have a stand named after the great man from Pinner, Elton John.
Yeah.
Great singer. Great artist, honestly.
But I mean, the Ukrainian league and in particular Shakhtar Donetsk have always had a history of like young Brazilians coming through. I mean, I'm bringing it back to Fulham. You look at that team that Fulham beat in the Europa League run in 2010, which had a young Fernandinho in it and a young Willian in it, and had a lot of like good young players, and they were the reigning Europa League champions. So Shakhtar Donetsk in particular have a history of bringing in young talent from Brazil who then go on to develop them and then go on to play in the Premier League, go on to play in Europe. And they've been doing that for 20 years now.
Yeah.
So that's nothing new from them. And even more impressive for the fact that Ukraine is currently still under siege from Russia.
Yes.
But yeah, Kevin is a fantastic talent. And then to replace, when he's injured, you've got Samuel Chukwueze, who's also a fantastic talent.
Yeah.
Forgot you signed him.
And then you've got Wilson on the other wing.
Bob as well.
And Oscar Bob. Fulham they're not struggling for talent on the wing at the very least, but it's then the creative and the creative structure in the middle.
I think it's that number 10 position, isn't it? I think that's maybe been
Smith Rowe and King.
Smith
Rowe has been.
He's a bit on and off.
Yeah, he's been hot and cold. King's got potential. He's very young. He's very good on the ball. Looks like he's always hungry. Looks like he always wants to score.
Yeah.
He's just not physical enough at the moment. But then, if Adama Traore comes back and throws him in the gym for a month or so, then he'll bulk up in no time.
It's just like Traore. Huge.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a small man with massive
arms.
But yeah, no, Josh King is some player.
Yeah, he's got a bright future.
Yeah, he'll go on well beyond Fulham.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if he ended up at one of the bigger clubs at some point in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
I do want to speak about the TFL Underground series and some other bits that you've been working on. But where's Fulham going to finish at the end of the season?
12th. And I'm happy with that.
Blimey, imagine being happy with finishing 12th.
I mean, it's better than finishing 17th.
I'm going to be happy finishing 17th.
When Fulham came back into the Premier League, there was a running. So when I did the overnight show with Paul Ross, who is the presenter of that show, the running gag every year was the beginning of every season, I'm happy if we finish 17th. So we finished 10th last year. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We finished 17th. I'm happy with that. It means we're in the Premier League for another season.
That's how it is for me this year.
Yeah, exactly.
The TFL Underground series, bloody interesting.
Yeah, so that's something I came up on completely by accident. So the London Underground has its own league structure with teams. I mean, they're playing in 15 minutes.
Are you going?
It was a bit late now, 15 minutes. So it's a Division 1 game, which is happening this afternoon. Jubilee play Overground. So you've got...
Big game.
Big derby.
Overground are last year's winners, and Jubilee came up last season. So it's a pretty...
There's 2 leagues.
So there's 2 leagues. So there's 2 leagues of 6 teams. So in Division 1, you've got Northern, who are at top of the league at the moment, who tried to win it last year. Overground then beat them on the final day of the season to win the league for the first time ever. You've got Victoria. Who else is in that league? Victoria, Northern, Overground, Jubilee, Elizabeth, who got relegated last week, and Hammersmith and Circle, who are 5th, came up last year from Division 2 and have been struggling this season. And then you've got Division 2, you've got a new team, which is a track maintenance team that have come in this season.
Maintenance.
So they're there as well.
Wow, they've got everything, don't they?
You've got DLR in there, Waterloo and City
DLR,
are
I
there.
thought no one run the train.
Yeah, but they got
train just turns up.
Yeah, but that's because they're all playing football. That's why. DLR, Waterloo and City, Real Metropolitano, but the Met line are there. Who else? British Transport Police are in that league, and Piccadilly, who are crowned champions on Thursday.
The Transport Police, wow.
So it's not just the TF, it's not just all the train lines. You've got DLR, Overground. You could have trams, cabbies. You had a bus team in it last season who pulled out. So there's been like a big history of like different teams have come and go. District Line were one of like the most teams that won more trophies than anyone else. They've gone now. They've folded. Central had a team. There's a company called Tube Lines had a team. So they run all the operational stuff. So it's open to like anyone that works at TFL. Like I said, there was talk of a cab team at one point. Wow. Trams, if they wanted to get involved. Southern Railway were in there at one point as
Southwestern Railway,
Southwestern Railway were in there. So it's like a big... Wow. I know I said I wasn't a train nerd.
There we go.
But I'm starting to kind of bridge that gap now.
No, it's great. It sounds great.
It's been like... It was a uni project to begin with.
Oh, really?
So 2019, I did a uni project. I was looking to find something to do like an audio documentary on, which is what we had to do for our final year project in I think it was just called audio or radio. I was originally going to interview an Amazon Echo.
Like the actual Echo?
Just actually like the actual, and just try and ask all these probing questions. I bought the thing and then never interviewed it. So it was just like sat on my desk for ages. And I was just trying to interview this thing, but it's a stupid idea. So eventually I was like just looking through some magazines and some newspapers and stuff. Came across the London Underground League and was like, oh, that's interesting. And they play all their games in the same place. So they play all their games at Market Road pitches in Islington. They take place every Tuesday and Thursday at 4. Got in touch with one of the teams, a guy called Jem, who's the current manager of Piccadilly and was back then.
They've got managers as well.
They've got managers. They've got assistant managers.
A physio?
They haven't got a physio. They just get the magic sponge out.
The fans go there.
There's a group of old blokes that turn up. There's about 6 of them that turn up for every single game, every single match day.
And the games are 90 minutes long.
Games are 90 minutes long. They have a league structure that lasts 10 game weeks, which is spread over 3 weeks. So they play 10 games each.
How does that work? Wait, can you say that again? Sorry.
So they play 10 games. They play 10 games a season.
Yeah.
So because the games are only like Tuesday, Thursday, they'll take it's all rotates around shift pattern. So it'll be you'll play one game and then chances are you won't play another game for 3 weeks. So you have 10 game weeks.
So everyone gets
a game in a 3-week period, and then there's a cup as well. There's 2 cups. You've got the League Cup and you got the equivalent of the Community Shield between It was originally between the cup winners and the league winners, but then Piccadilly kept winning everything, so they changed that. So it's the winners of Division 1 play the winners of Division 2.
Okay.
And then they have like a...
So a Super Cup?
Yeah. Like a Super Cup.
So with this, firstly, how do you get into the team? And secondly, this may have been what you sort of said there, but if there's 15 players in the team, but there's like 5 other good players, can they get involved, or is it just... 15?
So you have to be a TFL worker to play in the league.
Yeah.
So you can't just rock up and sign up. You have to work for TFL to be a part of it. But you don't have to work for the line that you play for.
Oh, that's cheating.
So if you play for Piccadilly line, you could be working on the Jubilee line, for example. Like It doesn't just stick to like you can go and pay for whichever one you want. And what was the other question? Sorry.
So if there's 15 players in the team, 20 players in the team, and there's 5 other, so can everyone get involved, or is there trials?
I think they'll have trials in the summer. If anyone wants to, depending on the team, some of them will have trials. If you're in Division 1, for example, I think if you're in Division 2, they'll be happy to just kind of like take people on and see where it goes. You had Real Met join last season, who have a lot of younger players, and they just kind of sign people as and when.
Youth
and
prodigies,
yeah. So they've got like a lot of young, tricky players, a lot of fast players, and then Track Maintenance, who are a bit older, who it's their debut season. So I'm not sure how it works for them, but I think they just kind of they'll rope people in as they're working. Go, it all spreads word of mouth. A lot of these things, and and I've been doing their social media, admittedly on and off, for the last year and a half. Doing videos for them, putting them up on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, and some of them have just done numbers, and people don't know that it exists, and they go, hang on, there's this league with London Underground teams in it and all this kind of stuff. And
I never knew till a few months ago.
Yeah, it's because of you.
And it's because of you.
Yeah. What can I say?
And you're welcome.
And there's a couple of teams are working on documentaries at the moment.
Whoa!
So Victoria,
All or nothing.
All or nothing Victoria line and all or nothing Jubilee line. So they've had cameramen come and do bits. Jubilee line are doing something in I don't know how much I can say, but they're doing it in association with the London Transport Museum. So that'll be a thing at some point in the not too distant future. And then Victoria have been doing their own project as well, and have been since last season.
Very interesting.
I want to work for TFL.
And
now.
I now work for TFL and play. I'd love to.
There have been times where I've gone, do I want to work in radio? Or do I want to drive a train and play for the London?
That'd be great. That's unreal.
It's a great thought, and it's very tempting to go and watch it now. I'll be up for it. You up for it?
We should go and join the Ultras. What would be a song you say?
What's that?
What team would you watch, and then what song would you sing?
I mean, I'm going to have to go Victoria.
Really?
Yeah, I've always...
I'm Elizabeth Line myself.
You're Elizabeth Line?
Yeah.
Fair enough. But I've always been a Victoria Line fan because of Seven Sisters and Tottenham.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
And the Tottenham link.
Oh, the Tottenham link.
Yeah,
I
of course,
see.
yeah.
There might be a bit of a rivalry, though, between the Lions and the club.
That's fine, yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, your whole social media is obviously unreal.
Bit of a mess at times.
No, but I think that doesn't hurt to be a mess sometimes. You know, this place is an absolute mess, but we get you in here at least.
Fix it, don't we? Yeah.
So could you speak to us just lastly about, I believe you worked on some like really unique projects like the Somalian Champions League.
So that was the channel for it, or the Instagram page or whatever it's called these days. It's called Glory Hunter Football, and it came from an idea that I'd had from a guest that we had on the overnight show, who had written a book on following the winner in each round of the FA Cup. And I went, that's a cool idea. Maybe I could do a video series on that. Started it last year and did it, nearly completed it. I missed 2 rounds. I didn't get my dates right for the second qualifying round. Missed Chertsey v Hanwell.
Great teams.
I go talk to him sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so I followed Chertsey last year.
Really?
From the first qualifying round up to the 4th qualifying round where they lost to Sutton United.
Yes.
So then followed, so did that journey and then missed out on the semi-final when City beat Forest.
Yeah.
So this year, I was like, do you know what? I'll do it again, and I'll do it properly this time, and I'll make sure that I go to every single round and make sure I don't mess up dates and stuff. And that's gone a lot better than I thought it would have done. It's a lot of those videos have hit over 100,000 views, especially on Instagram. For some odd reason, it's really taken off on Instagram and nowhere else. It's done okay numbers on TikTok and YouTube. It'll get there eventually. It's TikTok, YouTube takes longer for some odd reason, but it's done remarkably well. I had the name as my own. The channel name was my own name, and I thought, you know what? I'll just rebrand it to Glory Hunter Football, mainly because I was thinking of rebranding it to a different name anyway. But this season, I was following Whitstable Town, who...
They're Kent-based, aren't they?
Yeah, so they're on the Kent coast. And they had played... So I saw them knock out Dulwich Hamlet in the first qualifying round. They then went to Chichester, drew with them at home, and then went to they had a replay on the south coast, beat them 1-0. As the players were walking around, and I'm filming them just kind of giving... They'd applauded the crowd on the other side, the handful of Whitstable fans that went down to see them play, they walked round and a few of them like pointed at me, and they were like, "You're that glory hunter guy, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, hello, that's me." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we love your videos and all that kind of stuff." And I was like, "That's very kind of you to say, thank you." But they were like, "You're that glory hunter guy." I was like, right, I'm going to change my name I'm going to just rebrand it as like Glory Hunter Football. And that's when it all just went bang and really took off. So it's been doing pretty well so far. This year's been a little bit slow due to personal reasons, but it's still been pretty enjoyable. And now I'm following Liverpool like a proper Glory Hunter. So
all right, I am a Watford fan most of the time, some would say. So yeah, my last question then for you would be, I'm going to change it. I don't know if you'd be able to answer it. So
you also mentioned the Somali League, didn't you?
Yeah.
So very quickly, sorry. I was going to do them this season as like a whole thing, and then I ended up working on one of the days they were playing, and I couldn't finish the journey. So I've got a game which I have recorded. I might put it up at a later date, and then I might rejoin it at the final. But that was something a friend of mine suggested on Instagram. I just went, "This is something that you might be interested in," and I was like, "Okay, I'll have a look at it." And I was like, they've got there's different Somali communities in different cities. They've all got their own teams that represent the Somali community, and they all kind of come together in this competition every year. So you've got a lot of them in London. There's like some in Bristol and Manchester and Birmingham and one in Cardiff as well, I think. So they're expanding every year. And I was like, that would be a cool thing just to like go and like just experience what that's like. And they play in like a school field or whatever, but it's like, it's quite a big thing. You get like 50 or 55 people turn up, and it's all just like a big community thing. It can get a bit rowdy at times, as football tends to. So there is that element as well. But those games have been pretty enjoyable as well. I'm gutted that I wasn't able to continue it because I was enjoying that aspect of it. Yeah. But these things come back around again, and if it runs next year, I'll make sure that I do it next season.
And my last question to you is the question I asked all my guests that come on, all our guests, all our guests. So if you think back to yourself when you were younger with your call centre headset on, and you thought up to now, are you proud of the journey you've come on? Are you proud of what you've achieved?
Oh, that's a tough question. I always think that I could have done more. I know that's really weird. I've been talking for an hour non-stop about myself. I just feel like I could have done more, but looking back on it, if I had like a time machine and I can go back to 10-year-old me sat at the dinner table with a headset on and be like, "You're going to do all the things that you're imagining right now and more," I think I wouldn't believe myself. Yeah. I'd be like, one, how did you get in this house? And two, who are you? What are you talking about? Yeah. I don't really think about it much as being proud of it because I just live it every day. Yeah. But I think, 10-year-old me would be very, very happy to be like, wow, you're doing all this stuff with footballers I've never heard of at this point because they haven't played football yet, or these platforms that don't exist yet, or whatever. But I think childhood me would be quite impressed.
Good to hear.
Well, I'm very
impressed.
If I
said no, like, Charlie would be like, "No, what are you doing? I hate this."
Yeah, but that's one for another day, I reckon, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Alex, I really appreciate.
Why wouldn't you work in finance? Make some money. No, well, I'd never do that.
I really appreciate you joining us.
Sorry, I did.
That's all right. No worries, Harry. I'm sure you're just as appreciative as me.
Yes, but also very inspired as well.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
By many things. Yeah. So we do thank you for your time and
not a problem.
We always end up on here with a handshake. So thank you very much for joining me. Harry as well.
Alex, pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure.
And Jamie,
of course, Harry.
as always. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.